Hello, everyone. Dana here, and I pray each of you are doing well. The book that I've chosen for the choice book review is Jesus and the Disinherited by Howard Thurman. I want to let each of you know that this book was actually a quick and easy read, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is interested in understanding more about the work of God in the daily life of all people. Furthermore, if you find yourself struggling with how you might respond as a Christian, or in fact just a human being, to issues of poverty, racism, and spiritual disengagement, then I would certainly encourage you to read the book for yourself. It's my belief that Thurman's background, as well as his heritage and life experiences, are what set the tone for his approach to the question, why is it that Christianity seems impotent to deal radically and therefore effectively with the issues of discrimination and injustice, specifically on the basis of race, religion, and national origin? The idea that this book was written as an inquiry to understand oppression while also being human and enduring the pressures of a dominating world without losing one's humanity or forfeiting their soul actually brings Thurman to the teachings of Jesus as a poor Jew who was then threatened by the power of Rome. We all know that story, but nonetheless, furthermore, it parallels with Howard's own identity as a black man growing up in early to mid 20th century American society. In trying to process and understand the theological model of reflection and or the practice one might consider after reading Jesus and the Disinherited, it is my belief that Thurman does an excellent job at explaining that the response to oppression should be one that is based on love. Not fear, not deception, not dishonesty or hatred, just love. Howard Thurman then goes on to designate a whole chapter on the subject of love. He proclaims that love is something that is embodied and it is not an ordinary achievement. Thurman also actually continues to analyze the life of Jesus and the teaching of how we are to love God and love our neighbor, even if the neighbor is different than us or has been labeled as an enemy, in suggesting that there should be no barriers or boundaries to love. The reader is then given the challenge to look at the religion of Jesus and ask ourselves why we have strayed from the good news to some reduced message of personal salvation. While Thurman does not make any proposals, at least not directly, to the role of Christians in the healing injury of the oppressed or the social powers and astigmatisms of political rulers, he does, however, suggest that the persecuted can mitigate their own hatred by applying a response to oppression that's manifested by Jesus. In trying to wrap this up and still answer all of the prompts for the group discussion, the only concern that I have going forward is the idea that as humans, we tend to think first about our survival or our safety, more so than we might think about being intentional and compassionate. In doing this, we sometimes lose tact when responding to others because there is this fear that there isn't perhaps enough love to go around. However, after reading Thurman's book and aligning it with what I have studied in my own faith, I am in full agreement with the idea that the religion of Jesus and the willingness to operate in love, regardless if we identify as or are marked by a stereotype, a segregation, a discrimination, hate, or power. We only deceive ourselves by holding on to the fear that keeps us from experiencing true freedom that exceeds the bonds of every oppression. It is with this thought that I would once again recommend reading the book Jesus and the Disinherited by Howard Thurman, because only when we can move past our anger and our distrust of others will we come to embrace the unity that is found in the manifestation of Jesus. That then will actually show the divine task that is set before each of us to serve as the blameless example of a living God. Thank you. Have a good night.